The Hurva prophecy, prophetic theory number 2. Vilna Gaon, the Hurva prophecy on Crimea, Russia, Israel. Quote, according to the centuries-old rabbinical prophecy that appears to be coming true, on March 16, 2010, Israel would begin construction of the Third Temple in Jerusalem. Most believe that any time after March 16, 2010, the Third Temple may begin to be built. My best guess is around Passover 2016. That's last year. During the 18th century, the Vilna Gaon, R. Elijah ben Shlomo Zalman, who lived between 1720 and 1797, a respected rabbinical authority, prophesied that the Hurva synagogue in Jerusalem, which was built during his day, would be destroyed and rebuilt twice, and that when Hurva was completed for the third time, construction of the Third Temple would begin. The Hurva synagogue was first destroyed shortly after its initial construction, when Muslims demanded the return of loans, tore it down. The synagogue was rebuilt 100 years later and became the most important Jewish house of worship in the Holy Land, only be blown into pieces by Jordanian troops during Israel's 1948 War of Independence. In 2001, Israel finally decided to rebuild the landmark, which today stands in the center of the Jewish quarter in Jerusalem's Old City. The building is scheduled to be completed and the Hurva synagogue dedicated for a third time on March 15th of 2010. The only issue delaying the Hurva prophecy is a misguided missile or maybe an earthquake. With all the missiles fired into Israel each day, what are the odds of one hitting the Temple Mount? Or could we see an unexpected earthquake someday soon? The Mount of Olives sits on a fault line. If you study prophetic theory number 1, you'll notice R. Judah ben Samuel, 1140 to 1217, lived 77 years, just as R. Zalman aka Vilna Gaon, from 1720 to 1799, lived a similar life of piety and Torah. Please note, Vilna Gaon died exactly 100 years before the prophetic 1897 First World Zionist Congress. Both prophesied amazing eschatological, that's end times, statements that seem to be coming true. Can any other religious person claim a track record like these two? Yes, of course, many Christian saints have. Now, the second prophecy by Vilna Gaon says this, quote, when the ships of the Kingdom of Russia will cross the Dardanelles, that's the Strait of Istanbul between Constantinople and the Asia continent. This is the map here, and we see that ships cross into the Black Sea towards Crimea and Russia, crossing through this area here. So this is an important passage, otherwise Russia would not have an entry into the Mediterranean Sea and shipping into the rest of the world. So the second prophecy by Vilna Gaon says, quote, when the ships of the Kingdom of Russia will cross the Dardanelles, you, Israel, should dress in Sabbath cloths, because this means that the arrival of the Messiah is close. When you see the Russian armies begin to move southward and enter Turkey, put on your Sabbath garments and get ready to welcome the Messiah, end quote. Or its translation differently below says this, quote, when you hear that the Russians have captured the city of Crimea, well, they have, you should know that the times of the Messiah have started, that his steps are being heard. And when you hear that the Russians have reached the city of Constantinople, today's Istanbul, Turkey, you should put on your Sabbath clothes and don't take them off, because it means that the Messiah is about to come any minute. 200 years ago, war between Turkey and Russia prophesied a sign of redemption. BIN. In this prophecy, the Vilna Gaon mentioned two signs of the imminent arrival of the Messiah: Russia capturing Crimea and Russia invading the Turkish city of Constantinople, now Istanbul. I have to put in here, though, also that it was about 200 years ago that the Saint Cosmas of Aetolia of Greece had this same exact prophecy. I don't know now if Gaon heard that prophecy from Saint Cosmas of Aetolia, who is of course a Christian saint, a Christian Orthodox saint, who performed many miracles before his Dormition and even after, even to the present day. But this is the exact same prophecy of Saint Cosmas of Aetolia, who also prophesied that because of the destruction that would be sustained by Turkey, Turkey would be split into three sections. One would be totally destroyed, the other would be flooding into Asia, and the other 1/3 would become Christian. And because of the devastation in Turkey, the prophecy of St. Cosmas went to say that Constantinople, today's Istanbul, would be given to Greece, not because Greece deserved it. It's just that the international community didn't know what else to do with the city. So they gave it back. They would give it back to Greece because it was originally Greek from King Constantine, the Byzantine Empire. Okay, and it was Greece before Constantinople fell to the Turks in 1453, in May. That's the prophecy of St. Cosmas of Aetolia of northern Greece. Now going back to the Gaon prophecy, the first prophecy was fulfilled in 2014 when Russia annexed the Ukrainian territory of Crimea. Currently, tensions, of course, as we know, between Russia and Turkey include Turkey shooting down the Russian fighter jet that took place November 24th, 2015, are setting the stage for a second sign, the Russian invasion of Istanbul, which is old Constantinople, to occur soon. The prophecy of the Vilna Gaon is strengthened by the existence of a similar prophecy, this one from a Jewish sage known as Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic Judaism. Like the Vilna Gaon, the Baal Shem Tov lived in the 18th century. The Klosenberg Reb, a 20th century Hasidic rabbi, echoed the Vilna Gaon's second sign when he wrote, quote, "In the name of Baal Shem Tov, when you see the Russian horse in Constantinople, a city in Turkey, you should know Moshiach is about to arrive," end quote. According to the Klosenberg Reb, in addition to the Russian military presence in the Turkish city of Istanbul, the Baal Shem Tov foretold another sign of the impending arrival of the Messiah, quote, "The Russians will come, they will come and be together with the sons of Ishmael," end quote. Ishmael, of course, meaning the Arabs, right? And we know that Russia and Iran are very close allies. Going back to the prophecy, that is, when the Russians join forces with the spiritual descendants of Ishmael, who today are identified as those of Islamic descent, that it's another sign of the coming of the Messiah. Now, my opinion, says here the writer of the article, who is Joel Blackford, War of the Unseen Worlds. He says, "In my opinion, both prophecies are remarkable and seem to emanate from Torah studies and gematria. One shouldn't dismiss a prophecy merely because its source isn't a saved Christian, meaning, of course, Hebrew. Look at the, quote, by faith chapter, end quote, in Hebrews 11. None of those Jews listed knew Jesus personally. They believed in the promise of the Messiah and were counted as righteous. So please don't put God in a box where he defies definition. Allow God's Spirit to compel whoever he chooses to illuminate. Yes, even Muslims do God's work. See Suleiman the Magnificent, born 1494, Tetrad year to 1566. Quote, "For when I give the order, I will shake the house of Israel, there among all the Goyim, as one shakes with a sheave, letting no grain fall to the ground. All the sinners among my people who say, disaster will never overtake us or confront us, will die by the sword. Quote, when that day comes, I will raise up the fallen Sukkah of David. I will close up its gaps, raise up its ruins, and rebuild it as it used to be. Amos 9:9-11, CJB, end quote. This is by Joel Blackford, Blogspot. He says shalom at the end, meaning peace, and it's on cosmic convergence. I'll leave a link below for you for this, because there are links to other Bible searches, Destination Israel, Prophecy of Vilna, Gaon, when you hear the Russians have captured the city of Crimea, meaning the peninsula of Crimea. Of course, we only know a prophecy is fulfilled when it is actually fulfilled. That's the only way we know that it was actually a true prophecy. And of course, our prayers and our penitence, our works of reparation and faith in order to fix things up in our area and on earth and the whole of the universe are always seen by our Lord Jesus Christ in our attempt to fix things. I'll leave links below for you for this, as we said.